I'm gonna grab my sweater and then we can start. Is that good?
What?
I'm gonna grab my sweater.
Turn the light
Then
off.
I'm gonna grab my sweater and then we can start. Also, I'm gonna get the camera. Does William have his?
Well, he obviously has his phone on him probably.
Anything you gotta say?
Don't do drugs. Actually, yeah, do them.
Anything you gotta say, Will?
Dub.
Yep, you heard him. Oh, we got a car. Is
Yourself.
that 12? It's 12. It's 12.
So 12 options. Alright, it's rolling.
Is it? It's on.
Gravy. You good?
Okay. This is the Fish Podcast. Episode 1 of 1.
Hold up.
Yeah? You heard?
Oh, okay.
What?
That caught me off guard for a second.
What?
1 of 1. Thought you were about to say 4 or some shit.
Okay. We're gonna go through the whole track list, and it's about to be lit. We got William in the back. He might just be like, "Hey," and then we'll point it at him. You can't see him. He lit though. He featured on this album too.
We live.
We live
2 times.
2 times.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot he's on Catfish.
Yeah.
Bro, we got so
That's
much
a
to
little
say.
thing. That's not a feature though. It's not, it never was a feature.
That's true.
He's just.
We got so much to say.
Yeah.
You can say a little bit, and then we'll just start.
I worked hard on this. I had this idea a year ago almost, a couple months into 2 years.
Yeah.
Will be.
Well, I remember you bringing it up, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that'd be cool," but kind of being like, "Yeah, that'd be sick." And then as I got better at producing, I was like, "Oh, let's make this happen."
Yeah, that was crazy. I didn't see this coming so quick, like it did.
Yeah, over the summer.
I mean, just life in general too. I didn't see
true.
all this shit coming so quick, which was pretty cool. So.
Yeah, let's just get it start. To be honest. So it opens with "Gone Fishing," which is hella simple,
Yeah.
early interlude. I think because you basically had the idea for this whole track.
Yeah.
Kind of just needs to be a good, I don't know, opener, which I think it embodies Fish idea in a good way.
Yeah. Gone fishing. It was It was. Basically, the whole album was just not what I expected it to be, which is positive.
We'll get more into that later.
Yeah, but Gone Fishing, it's a pretty cool track. I like it a lot. It's not really a track though, and I think a lot of good albums should have a good opener. Cause that kind of sets the mood and the vibe for the album in general,
Yeah.
where it goes.
Because I didn't see what you wanted to do at first,
Yeah.
with it. You just said oh, I wanted to be short, but then you found that sample. I was like, oh, that shit hard.
I was at the YMCA.
And I was like, yo, this. I remember I got it and I played it for Will and Pablo. And I was like, you guys, Avi just sent me. This is so hard. And then the strings come in. I was like, okay, yeah, this is sick. I don't know what we're gonna use this for.
It's funny as hell.
And then you were like, oh, I got a voicemail thing to add.
I got a ton of samples. The main reason I get half my samples is because I logged into Pablo's computer through YouTube and shit. So all of Pablo's videos just came up in my feed. So all these old Japanese pop songs showed up and everything. So a lot of that, I think Salmon, that track is
yeah.
that's one of the samples. And the original thing for Kid Cudi showed up in there, the original sample showed up.
Because there's playlists you showed me that are just endless songs.
Yeah. And then there's also there's this one YouTuber who just posts old albums, which is really nice.
Yeah.
I don't think they're specifically for sampling, but 12. But I think
Yep.
yeah, it's just cool that they have that now.
Yeah. Well, it actually became super cool to me, that track. Because the voicemail, the beep just sounds so sick to me.
Yeah.
And how I don't know, it's a really good, like, again, like I said, embodiment of like how the album's gonna go, and then it transitions into Sunny like super nicely.
Yeah. I wanted that track. I kind of feared it, cause if you have this really big opener that's like fucking shows off the whole like this is judgment of the album, and then you have like a big like this massive opener, and then you go Sunny. It's a good song. It's just not like grade A material. And just opening with that, which is not like as meaningful as a track, and it's not as potent as a track as like much of the album is. It's just going into that. I kind of feared having a really big opener, but I think Gone Fishing just works out so well for that, just being that type of opener that's like just enough.
I think it's like a good contrast in a way, to have it open with that weird like synth, like pluck, and then you calling. It's like, oh, what's gonna happen? The beep, and then it cuts to this weird other synth with like a crazy beat already, and then some lyrics that are just like, just like whatever, not like whatever. You know what I mean? I think it's cool to have like that set the tone again, because it starts kind of somber, which then immediately leads into Sunny, which is just like a cool contrast, like I said. This beat for Sunny was pretty funny. Avi was like, yo, I got this Undertale sample. I was like, okay, like, what? That was funny. Do you remember when that happened?
Yeah. I was in New York when I sent it to you, too.
Yeah, I was like, okay, like, I guess. And then I was skeptical at first. I was like, I don't know. But then when you came over, I was like, you said, like, oh, let's just try it. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I got the beginning part you hear has like the crazy hi-hats and stuff, but Avi was like, that's way too much, so then like tone it down when like I come in.
Yeah.
And I think that part worked out really well, and I just like how it sounds kind of in general.
It was funny watching you make that, like,
Yeah.
the beginning, because you didn't say anything. You were just like,
That's true. I remember that too. I was like, because I just wasn't sure.
and I was just like, what's going on? What are you doing? What are you doing, bud? And then you just played it, and it was like,
Okay.
I see.
Yeah, no, because I think we were having like the same thing, and we were both like, is this gonna work? Like, is this happening?
Yeah.
And then it's just like, okay, yeah. And then you like your lyrics fit it so well, too. So like,
Yeah.
it works out.
Shout out Lorado for that one.
For what?
For Sunny. All that's just let me know.
Yeah. If you listen to that and then listen to Let Me Know, it's like the flow's like
The flow's exactly the same.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
I'll be out here exposing himself. Sorry, major cap. You heard? Damn, this wind's strong. It's good though. We got a sock. It's good. Sample the wind chime.
Sample chimes.
What's the next song, dude? We don't even know our
I do.
track list.
I think it's
You think?
Walleye.
It's Walleye.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's either Char or
dude.
Walleye.
We have such a good story about this song.
That song
Well,
that song was the perfect environment for making music.
yeah,
That was like when I think about like just making music in general, I would want to go back to that day. What song is in my head? Okay. I would want to like go back to that day and make like 4 more songs. Like
no, yeah,
like that was just such a good cuz we wrote Dreams
yep.
and that. And then he was like, "Do you want this song?" And I was,
We made the beat the same day, right? For Walleye?
no. That beat was like
Oh, you're right.
we held that for like a week.
Yeah,
And then
I remember that because you came over after school one day, and I was like, "Oh, let's sample this record."
yeah.
And then we found this piano, and we're like, "Oh, let's cut it up," and we made it, and we're like, "Damn, this shit hard." We were like loving it,
Yeah.
And we sent it to Will, and he was like, it's all right." He was like, And we were like, "Fuck." So we like lost interest, and then a week later, Avi was like, "Yo, I got a chorus, I got all this stuff for it." I was like, "Okay, let's try it."
That shit was about to be on the bars. Were about to be on like Cheeks EP.
Mhm.
They're supposed to be on the Space force shit text.
Uh-huh.
Like that album or that EP that like I had the idea for didn't really. I just stained like most of it for other shit.
Yeah. Well, I think it was kind of like you thinking about it.
It was a crash test.
Yeah. And then kind of realizing like, oh, this is where I want to go, rather in a musical direction
Yeah.
than that. But
That was in my Travis
Wh-
Scott phase.
Walleye was such a. The beat for Walleye.
That's a cooker.
Yeah. And then, well, because the thing is, I wrote, like, some of Walleye a little bit before, but then mostly, like, the day of, we just wrote all of Walleye and we wrote all of Dreams for my album. And we just made those two, and we both thought they were so good. I remember sending them to Pablo, and he was like, "This is insane! Like, you guys did it! Like, this is so good."
Yeah.
And I remember going to Griffin's house and playing it for him. He was like, "Yo, this shit hits!" And it was a cool feeling because we made like some of our like probably best tracks like together.
Definitely.
It was just in one night, and we were like, "Wow!" Which is what you were talking about earlier.
I like Walleye. Just for like, I don't know. It was just a good day. I remember I had to scrap some of the lyrics because you were like, nope, you're not putting that on my album for Dreams that same day.
Oh, yeah.
Because I wrote, she mixed with some black and a bit blonde. She get me off like a fountain in a kid's park.
Yeah, I was like, "Doug, what?" This is good. It was funny because I was like, that
And
shit
then we
might
went
sound
and ate
clown with
pizza.
the. Oh yeah, that shit might sound clown with like the other lyrics you had though, because you
Yeah.
were like, like cool, like hit the blunt, and then you're like, she get me off. I was like,
So I had to tone it down.
Yeah. But then on Walleye, you went kind of like crazy. I love that.
Yeah.
It was a good vibe.
I played that for a kid when I was camping.
Walleye.
Yeah. And he was like, damn! Like, he's never heard, like, shit like that, too.
Uh-huh.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So that was cool hearing it.
The hi-hat pattern on that song makes it like crazy, because I think that's partly why William didn't like it as much, is because it was like
Kind of boring.
it was kind of boring because it was just like did it and then like
I think what...
and
also-
I think he needed to just hear lyrics on it, which is what he said, and he came around to it after we recorded on it, because I did that echo effect on the chorus and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, a lot of the songs off Fish, I kind of... Like, the hyper ones, I do have a standard form for, like Sunny, Walleye, Trout... No, not Sturgeon. Something else.
Well, kind of like
Salmon.
bass. Bass too, a little bit.
Yeah. I have this standard form where it goes chorus, and the chorus is always usually pretty catchy. I like to make a catchy chorus.
Yeah.
I don't know how to end a song, though.
Well, I mean, I think we just got good at learning that.
Yeah, I don't know how to start a song.
We'll talk about that later on other songs.
Yeah, I don't know how to start a song or end it, so I think like I'm good at writing lyrics in the middle of the song.
Because I remember I showed you, like, oh, this is my verse for Walleye, and you're like, yo, that's sick, and I recorded it, and then I remember I recorded up until the beat stopped, and then it just stopped, and you're like, wait, that's just how it should end. Like, you were like, that's perfect. Like, I don't need to repeat the chorus again or anything.
Yeah.
And that was a cool moment, too, because we were like, oh, it's done. It's like, that's good. That's a good ender.
Yeah.
What's the next song?
Trout.
Dude, this song, crazy.
Yeah.
Shout out to Pablo for this sample. He sent it to me and was like, dude, you got to reverse it or something. I was like,
Pablo need to make more
okay.
beats, bro.
That's true. Well, he needs practice on.
It's just like most of the time when he's making beats, he's just like fooling around with like random shit on GarageBand. And he's just like.
Well, that's because his vibe is just like that. But then when he, when he finds samples like that, I'm like, dog, what? You know that unreleased beat that's in the Spring documentary?
Yeah. He always
That
comes
beat's
around.
hard. Like, I listened to that again because I was just going through my old iTunes shit, and that was on there. I was like, dude, Pablo sent me that sample, and that shit is ridiculous. Like, I don't know. Pablo's good at finding samples, and he found that one, and he said like reverse it, pitch it up.
Also, Carp too. Jesus, that beat.
We'll
like, when I
get to
first
that. We'll
heard-
get to that.
yeah.
We got to do song by
Def-
song.
def.
This is Fish Podcast, everyone. But Trout, that song.
That was the first song written on the album.
Yeah.
That was the first song. Actually, that was the only song. That and like 2 bars off Carp, or not Carp. Off Catfish were the only ones that I saved. Everything else that I wrote
Was in like
was scrapped, thrown
Yeah.
to the side, put
Again,
new stuff off it.
'cause that's-
some of the schemes I saved and stuff like that.
yeah. Well, because partially because that was some of it was for the Space EP, which you kind of just were like, all right, I'm gonna like
Yeah.
move, like delete that and kind of get a new direction, kind of.
I have one verse that I saved off that. That's the only thing left. I deleted
Sick. You heard it here first,
What?
dude. Trout though. Fish Podcast. You heard. He's not even like listening. Trout though, dude. I made that beat. I was like, ooh, this shit. Not gonna lie, I didn't like the Trout beat that much. And then you came, and you recorded your verse, and I still wasn't like not too crazy, but like legitimately when we just paused the beat a few times,
Yeah.
when you're like, P.S. and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
this shit hits. This is like good. And I remember making it. I was like still not 100% on it, and I sent it to Will and Pablo because like that's just what we do. That's just how we get like critique. William was like, yo, send me that now. Like he was like, I need that in my life.
Yeah.
He was like, I would legitimately listen to this song if I just heard it like random. Like this is hard.
Yeah.
And I remember he like came to school the next day, or not even school. Was it?
Was that? No. Because school
I'm
didn't
trying
start.
to think.
No, it was summer.
Yeah, no, I think we just saw each other like the very next day, and you were like singing the lyrics,
Yeah.
like just out of just like.
That's when we were. What did we record that day? We recorded something that day too. No,
That was for my album, I think.
Will was
I forget, but I remember that day too.
there for the recording of Trout, right? Because I remember I was messing up a ton, and I would come out of the booth and
That's
just be
a
like,
funny story. No, that was just us. Remember?
Really?
We told him about. He wasn't there,
Oh,
but
I
we
remember
told him
you
about
being
that.
there for something.
Well, I think that was a different
No,
song.
because that's why I kept saying niggas, and then laughing at it.
No,
'Cause
no,
Will was there too.
No, that was me. That was me. It was literally me.
Yeah, then
Because
you told me about it.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think you recorded it and then I came after.
Yeah, you
recorded
came
it.
like
I think
a
it.
couple of seconds after we
Yeah, and
started
then you were
recording.
like, bro, listen to how Avi said this. And it was like,
Oh.
and then
Yeah, yeah.
And then that's the one we kept.
Yeah,
Was me
that's
laughing. and
that's
then
another
started-
story. That's why the beat stops too. It's because I was like, oh, that'd be sick. It's if he just laughs about him saying it so funnily.
Yeah.
And that's where we got that.
You know what's funny about that? So,
What's funny?
throwback Shellfest 2019, correct? 2019. So,
Not really a throwback. Just
no, a little bit of a throwback. Shellfest 2019.
Avi DJ'd me and Will's set.
Pause the track. Every single
Not
time
funny.
I'm smiling, smirking, or like laughing when I'm not supposed to be, in my brain, I just go, I pause the track, I pause the track, I pause the track. And it just goes away. Like, every time.
So funny.
So, like, while I was recording that, I was just like, hey, Vaughn, send it to you. Oh, I pause the track, I pause the track, I pause. Like, in my brain, that's all that was going on.
Is that why you just started laughing? Because your delivery on that word was just funny, and then you were just like,
Yeah, and then I just stopped
yeah,
laughing after that.
yeah. That was funny.
Yeah.
That was a good time. That song was fun, but I wasn't like 100% on it at first. But when I showed it to other people, they're like, "Oh yeah, no, this shit hard too."
Are we on
Um,
Freedom now?
I don't think so. You want next song?
Next song.
Next song.
Bass.
Bass. This is the only track on the whole album I didn't produce. Cough. You heard. Fish Podcast. So I don't have much to say. I'm just gonna let him speak, but I do really like this track. Funny thing, Xavier Neal, guy who features, produced it. Never met him. He need to learn to mix his songs.
It's not mixed.
Well, it's just funny because he sent us other beats for Freedom Day, and we were just like, we can't use this because it hurts to listen to. But like, I love the production on this track, and I think he actually snaps. And I'm just gonna get all my stuff out of the way now. I think his feature adds a lot to the song, and just like different sounding like voices on the album.
Yeah.
You can go now.
I think. Yeah, we was at a cabin. Jesus. I was like, he had his everything out. He has so many good beats, like, just not being used, that are, like, okay. So, like, he has so many good beats, though, that are, like, just not in use right now. And that was one of them, and I was like, yo, we got to record on this. And I wrote, I think it was, like, 3 in the morning. Sick. Shout out Airplanes.
You heard? Hey, this is Fish Podcast. We're taking a
Shout out Airplanes.
quick break because of the airplane. You guys can't even see it, but William's producing right now. He's making a beat right now on the porch. Yeah. Okay, let's get back to Bass. Sorry.
So, we was cooking. Show me this beat. And then I wrote that. I was like just thinking, eating ramen at like 2 in the morning. I cooked something up. And then that fucking, just a new car, big, like that flow just came into my brain. And I was like, all right. And I wrote that. It took him like 2 days to write a verse.
Yeah, because you guys were there for like a minute.
Yeah, we were there for a while. And then, shout out Z. He fucking put me on.
Shout out Z.
Yeah.
Bro, he cooked bacon flow.
Dude, y'all don't even know probably about his
If you day
SoundCloud
one-
days.
If you day one in bacon flow,
That's crazy. He's day one. I mean,
shout out day one bacon flow.
William put me on to Bacon Flow. Dude, peep his SoundCloud for that.
Yeah,
You heard?
I had to
Or
delete
don't.
that.
So fun. Okay. Back to Fish Podcast. Say it.
If you want to find Bacon Hotline by Pablo the MC, go on Xavier Neal on SoundCloud.
Check it out.
Yep.
But also follow Xavier.
Okay.
Yeah,
Whatever.
follow Xavier Neal.
Fish Podcast.
I should introduce
Fish Podcast.
Fish.
You heard.
Okay.
Fish
Pod.
Podcast.
Whoa, God, that was loud. We're gonna have to turn that down in post. Okay. Anything else to say about that track? Because I already said.
It took us a while to mix it. He doesn't have AirDrop on his Mac because it's old. It's old ass Mac.
That's
So every single time, like, I was like, no, we have to mix this good right now. Like, the whole time I was like, no. And he was like, it's alright, bro. You can just play it in the car. It's gonna be fine. I'm like, no, we have to mix it right now. Because every single time he got done with mixing it, turned it into an MP3, got it on his computer, uploaded it to his Gmail, emailed it to me. I had to export it onto my phone, listen to that shit. Wasn't good.
Yeah.
Redo it.
Right.
Like,
yeah. Well, because
rinse, wash, and repeat the whole time.
You would send me demos. I was like, dog, I just can't hear you.
Yeah.
The hi-hats are too loud. The bass is too low. The melody's too low. So then I was like, oh, you should probably change this. That's the only thing I did for this track.
Yeah.
Was just be like, oh. And then it take him so long to send me the demos because I was like, I didn't know what was happening, but it was just funny because I was like, dog, you gotta change this.
Yeah. Shit was great.
Yeah. No, that's a good track, though. For sure. And the little shout out
That was a
Jim
fun
from The
week.
Office, too. That little outro.
Oh, yeah. Shout out Jim.
It's so funny. Because I heard that, I was like, okay.
I
Because that wasn't on it at first.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is an interesting end. How it just kind of like stops. But then you added that. I was like, okay. Interesting, but like cool. It's almost like if you know The Office, then it's kind of like, oh, that's like kind of like sweet.
Yeah.
But then also what he says is dark. After like a flex kind of song. It's cool. I don't know. I like what it adds.
I just wanted to have something like that. And it's really cool because Xavier Neal, he's like a money got hoes, got bitches, got cars kind of person. And he was able to write like shit like I want to blow up and shit like that. Like I'm just fucking tired, which was nice to just hear him do.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're good.
Devo.
We're back. Fish podcast. His jeans too big. Bigger than me. Shout out Zalooper. He actually was an inspiration for like some of the production on this album. Cause
Oh,
Zaloopers.
Cause you listen to Dynamite.
Well, cause I put you on to Dynamite. Cause
Yeah.
I was like,
Cause we
Sorry,
we started that like half-ass.
just like listen to
Music.
an album a week thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's like top 10 albums this year. Shout out that album. Shout out that song, Bigger Than Me. That song is great. That production kind of style by Black Noise, actually, who did it.
Black Noise.
His sampling is just crazy. So I like, in a way, his beats are super crazy. And I definitely took some inspiration. If not on Fish, but like in the future, I definitely have. Because like that album's super dope.
Yeah.
All right, that was kind of off track. But we're back now.
Shout
We
out Shale for the jeans
I think you mentioned Shale on this album, right?
and the sweater. Yeah. Put
Damn,
me in a
bro,
fit.
Shale put you on this fit. Hold on. Okay, next song.
Next song. We got the most interesting song personally. Off the Dock interlude.
So much to say about this song. You can start.
This was stressful. This was, I think, the last track we did.
Catfish technically was.
No, Salmon. Because we did those three the same day.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, well, Off the Dock.
Off the Dock.
It's fucking
We scrapped.
crazy. So many different demos of that
So
song.
we had the ukulele one that you were like, this shit,
Slap.
heater top 10. I love you so much right now.
Fish podcast. Shut up.
Okay. So we had the ukulele beat and you just slapped on it. I just wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just a little laid back
Yeah,
for
yeah.
like the point that it was at.
Because hearing what you wanted now, I was like, oh, this makes sense. Obviously, you want that beat.
Yeah.
And then I made a second one, and nobody liked it. I didn't even like it. I was just like, we need to make something different.
But no, that one. The
I
one we
think
use
so.
right now. That was supposed to be for Carp.
Okay. We're getting... No, I'm talking about a different piano one. The one that Pablo wrote to, but then... you know that one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that one, I was like...
That one's kind of boo-boo.
Yeah, I know. It was just so simple. But, yeah, simple. This is the least simple song in the whole album, and we had, like, one of the simplest tracks it was gonna be.
That was cool.
But you should talk about the beat.
The beat?
Because the beat has a cool story behind it.
The beat was meant to be for Carp.
Mm-hmm.
Carp had a whole idea. I still have lyrics for that y'all won't ever hear. Shout out Ginger.
Funny.
So we had that idea for Carp, and it just wasn't really the vibe I was going for.
Well, you asked me to make a piano type beat kind of thing.
No,
and
I said "Run for Your Life" type beat. I
Oh,
don't know
you
what
did.
You were doing with that.
Okay, yeah, because I wasn't just gonna make a Run for
Yeah.
Your Life beat, so I like chopped up piano, and at the time he was like, oh, okay, like he didn't think anything of it, so then I kind of just scrapped it.
Yeah.
But then, literally day of that we were making Off the Dock, like Pablo's over. You were like, oh, just pull that old beat up, and then we just did crazy shit with it. which you
Because
can-
I started listening to JPEG more. And that whole idea. Because I had these bars, like, in my head. This nigga pussy 9 lines, so I shot the nigga, like, 9 times.
that was funny. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that would go so well. I think it was... what fucking song? I don't even know. It's like a mixture between... It was off Veteran. I don't know. I just, like, had the idea for, like, I'd had the idea for a track like that.
yeah.
And then I was like, oh, this would be perfect. And having Pablo's writes verses hard, and his flow's really nice, just how he writes that shit.
Fish podcast.
Test.
Test. Well, because you, like, recruited Pablo for that, like, interlude. You knew you wanted him on that interlude.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, funny thing. You know the video that like he posted, Major Capone. He posted like of him FaceTiming Pablo and being like, "Oh, you know, Section 80. Let me just play this thing real quick." And then that was actually the ukulele beat that we were just talking about. 'Cause like we just knew we wanted him on that, and then Pablo's like, "Oh yeah, sure." Which like that was like how we basically convinced him, like from the start. He was just like, "Yeah, sure." And then one time we had him over, we pulled up that old cart beat idea, and then Avi was like, "Do you have any like vocal things that you could just throw on?"
Yeah, I wanted random shit all over it.
And all the audio from that was a video I was recording for the I'm Okay visualizer of Myra singing or doing different takes.
Was that for Empty?
For Empty, yeah. And it was fucking so cool how we used it, because we just took every part where we like said like a sentence and just chopped it up into that weird, like already weird piano beat. And it worked really well, because at first I was just gonna have it at the end. Oh, dude, this song is dope. We were just gonna have it at the end, and then you were like, "Why don't you just put it over after Pablo records?" And that weird little like transition thing into the end part where it's just Myra and I talking, of like the singing that sounds all distorted.
Auto-tune.
That's like Myra doing a take and then me playing it back auto-tuned as like a joke, and we just took it and looped it and pitched it up and down for this song, because it was just sounded so cool. And Avi was like, "Wait, what?" I did it as a joke at first.
Yeah.
And then you're like, "Wait, that sounds sick." So then we had that, and that's like kind of the outro after your little like 4-bar verse.
Yeah.
I loved making this beat, actually. Yeah, you can say.
And the snippets too. I wanted just for this piece in the album, I wanted something less than myself. That sounds mean to Pablo, but like I wanted something like I didn't want myself idolized for something just in general for a track. That's why I wanted the Myra snippets, and that's why I wanted Pablo on that song. Because I just wanted something that... Thank you, Will. I wanted something that was... I wanted something that was just, like... more... just different, you know what I mean? So I did that.
Yeah. I mean... Yeah. And it also has one of, like, the 2 Myra-specific snippets.
Oh, yeah.
Which, the same night we made that, Avi was like, "Let me, text Myra. Let me get her number real quick so I can get her, I want her to say, like, 2 sentences for my album." I was like, okay. So then I gave it to him, and then she says, what does she say at the end of the doc? She says,
do you remember how it happened?
"Do you remember how it happened?" We got her just to record 2 of those, and then Avi was like, "Oh, let's put one at the end of the interlude and one at the end of the album."
Yeah.
And so that one we just threw in. That's the last thing you hear on the song, and that's really it. How we got also, so it was easier on Pablo to record, because let me tell you, he's not a first take man. He needs a couple tries to get in that bitch.
Once he does it though,
Yeah, no.
it's all over.
No hate. It's just funny. He needs a few takes, and he gets. Yeah, funny story. He needs a few takes, but then he'll get in his bag and just be like, "Yeah, no, this shit sounds dope."
Yeah.
But we had him just record over the piano at first, and like I had the snippets already cut in, but then like the video snippets, and then I just had him record over the piano so it's easier on him, and then we just dragged the verse over that, and it sounded really sick. That's a little
Jet.
you feel. Yeah, that's really all.
Sturgeon.
Avi has a lot to say about the song. Not a lot production wise. I'll talk about it in a second.
This song is probably one of my favorite songs on the album, just because it's the most packed song.
Yeah.
It has the most to say, but also isn't it one of the shortest songs?
It's like 150, I think.
And then
For a song with a beat switch, it has a lot for 150.
I think 7 and 10, Sturgeon, Muskie are Sturgeon, Muskie are like the shortest songs, and maybe Carp or Catfish. Yeah, Carp too. This album's short, but that song was cool. Just being able to have 2 parts to it. I had one thing that I wanted for this, but it just couldn't loop right, or it's just weird making it, I guess.
I remember that. It was way early on when you showed me that. I was like, I don't know if we can make this work.
Yeah, that's where the idea came from in general for
Fish? Like that? Yeah, you got to tell that story because that's a cool story.
we're
Even though we didn't end up using it, it's like
yeah, that, like, we were in the car. I was in the car
Fish Podcast.
in Duluth. We are on our way to the aquarium, Fish, and song started Jet by Wings. It was on the radio.
Paul McCartney.
And Paul McCartney.
It was on the radio.
It was on the radio, and it played, and I was like, yo, what's this? Because I don't know. I never listened to anything like that. So I heard that, and I just thought it was a heater. So all my ideas got put to fingers and screens.
Like,
I don't write good, so that's why. But, so... yeah, and then I wrote stuff. Didn't really work out. I thought, I could just put it on another beat. You showed me the first beat for Sturgeon. I was like, that's...
yeah.
And I saw edit on the gram. And it was Chamber of Reflection, slowed, chopped and screwed, slowed and reverbed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was like, this would be heat to rap over. Like, fuck, sad edits is cool for, like, rapping. And I used that for the second half. PSA, second half is not about anybody in particular.
You heard. The production end was really easy.
Yeah.
Because it was just like...
Was it a stained beat? Or just, like...
It was a pretty structured beat, but it was like... I just chopped it up a little. Yeah. It was like horns that I was like, I like this. I mess with the pitch. I mess with some effects and EQ to make it sound more like vintage, which is what you wanted. And I remember I played it for you, and it was hella late when we were like, you were like, this can work for Sturgeon, like the idea.
And then we woke up.
Well, because I was like, let's record it, and then you were like, we can't. Well, you didn't even sleep over. You were just like, next time we see each other, record it. So then next time we met up, we recorded that song. And also, let me just say, Chamber Reflections, super easy. I just messed with the pitch and reflection, the EQ and stuff like that. It was really easy, production-wise.
It's funny, because I started rapping. That shit. And his parents were home, and this was when you got your first, like, your new mic set up.
Oh, the one
so,
now. Yeah.
And I was so used to doing it in the closet, when I did that shit out loud in the middle of his room, so you could hear it everywhere.
Yeah.
So you're like, nah, we can't do it today. Because, like, half that song's just, like, spit the graphic. Like, it was just...
yeah.
So
that was definitely something we thought about. Actually, we do think about still, like, my parents home, they probably aren't going to want to hear us screaming. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
That was a cool song. I love that song. Yeah. It turned out really well. And the interlude, kind of, not really interlude, just like the beat switch part, Avi did the first verse in one take.
One take, baby.
So I was like, one take. And then I was like, dude, that'd be such a sick transition to the second half. And then.
That was when I started watching The Cave more often, and they started saying one take, Jake, and I was like, that's a cool term.
Yeah. So then you said that.
And then you started saying that.
Yeah, and I started saying it too. Yeah. That was fun. Yeah, recording that song was fun.
Facts.
Even though it's pretty sad, you enjoyed it, and it's like what you want it to sound like. Fish podcast.
It's a cool interlude to go into the deep end with.
Yeah. And the deep end is the last 4 songs: salmon, carp, muskie, catfish. And I think we're done with sturgeon. If you want to move on, unless you got more. He got more fish podcast.
I fucked up the order. Sturgeon should be carp, and carp should be sturgeon.
No way.
Yeah, because sturgeon is deeper in the water than a carp. Well,
It actually doesn't.
Carp and catfish are at like the same level. Muskie should be where salmon is, and salmon should be where muskie is. Sturgeon.
I mean, the fact that they're all kind of deep.
They're kind of they're deep
Fish.
water. Because most of them, like sturgeon, salmon, carp, catfish, are all bottom feeders. So they all live lower down in the
Yep.
Shout out moth. But they just live lower down in the water. So yeah, that's why I
mean,
fucked up on that.
Also, it's not really a. The idea for fish too. Avi was telling me like it needs to just be in order. I was like, dude, let it be lax,
Yeah.
because people aren't gonna like notice as much. It's just cool that you're naming them all after fish. You know, it's just like I don't know. It works for me, and I think, I don't know. I think it's really cool because you basically came to me with the idea. You knew what every single song was gonna be titled.
Yeah.
So then I was just like, all right, tell me what you want as the artist, and I can try and make that happen as a producer, which is super cool.
That was nice. That was easy doing.
And for me, it was easy doing, and also just fun because I literally tried like new things. Like trout was something that I was like, what am I doing? Whereas like walleye, I had more like the feel to, or carp, which we'll get into later. You know, it's like it was cool as a producer to try this, but then for Avi, it was just like sick because like I mean,
just had
hopefully,
my dreams come true.
I mean, yeah.
Like,
I mean, I'm just glad I was able to do that
Easy.
too.
Yeah.
Definitely.
that's like on the beginning of Sunny. Just yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. We didn't really talk about that at the end of Sunny. You were just like,
Yeah.
let me talk. Let me just talk in the booth. It was funny. Yeah, that was kind of like fish description what we just did. If you want to go on the next song.
We recorded Sunny, and then the beginning of Salmon the same day, and I think we did something else too. I think we got like 2.5 songs done then.
There's a few days where we got like so much shit done. We were just grinding on fish.
Yeah.
Those were fun days.
Grind days.
Let's get into salmon though.
Salmon.
Because that beat, like Avi said, he gave me a sample. I was like, okay, let's try and make this work. It was really easy for me. I just added drums, you know, reversed it, flipped it around, pitched, I think. I don't even know if I pitched it. But,
Looks so mean.
why? Okay, so salmon, fish podcast. Why do you just get off track? This dumb
I don't
asshole.
know.
I hate him. I love you.
Love you too.
No,
Salmon.
but salmon was really easy on production, and then originally it was just
Jesus, we've been talking for an hour.
we don't really know. Let's see. It was kind of. Is the clip still running?
What?
Is
If
the
it's
clip still
not-
running?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're low bat as hell. It's blinking.
Okay.
Alright.
All right. Salmon was just like. I don't know. It was like pretty easy on production, and it was just like we kind of knew what we wanted to do. My verse took me so long to write. It legit took me like a month because I'd write like I changed my flow like 5 times.
Will didn't even end up writing for it.
That's a funny story, but like my verse was just like all over the place. But I like how like I don't know, it's diverse, and it took me like a long time to write. So that was
Yeah.
a cool verse for me. And also, I ended up loving the beat a lot, and I really liked that song.
Yeah. I liked that beat. 4 a.m. some. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like again what I was talking about, just the samples that I've been finding. on my YouTube feed. That was one of them. So I messed with that and sent it to you. Or no, I was just playing YouTube because that's what I do. It's
Yeah,
just-
and then you were just playing it on your phone, and I
Yeah,
was like,
you're
"Oh,
like-
this is sick. Let me try that."
Yeah.
That's honestly how like Fish was made. You just be like, "Oh, here's a sample." I'd be like, "Oh, okay, here's a beat."
Yeah.
Like,
Also, some of it was just cherry picking in the field of beatery.
yeah,
And you-
that's true. Will, do you want to say anything about salmon?
I don't know.
Fish podcast. We back.
Okay.
Salmon, pretty simple. Like, not much to it. It was just feature untitled.
Yeah.
And now this gets into the last
That
three
was in
tracks.
Pop's house too.
Salmon?
Yeah.
Carp. I have a lot to say about Carp.
Yeah.
Carp was made by me and Pablo at his house.
You guys didn't like that. I loved it.
Well, yeah, the first half of Carp was just like something I just tried, and I was like, I don't even know. Because me and Pablo were working on a project, actually, that will never come out, so y'all will never hear any of that stuff. But we were just working on that, and then Pablo showed me that sample, and I was like, oh, this hard. And I made it at my house, and then we brought it over to his house and made the beginning, and we ended up not using any of it. And then I was just like, I played it for Avi,
Yeah.
and he was like, are you using this? I'm like, no. And he was like, okay, I'm using this shit.
You gonna eat that?
Yeah, it was so crazy
I mean,
to see Avi's reaction. Like, are you actually not using this? It was so funny.
it's funny. Like, most of fish, I think, except like catfish, sunny, trout, walleye, was like, and bass obviously, but was just like basically just, are you gonna eat that? Like, are you gonna use that?
Yeah, because I just make things and you'd be like, whoa, yeah, that's like what I want. Like,
Yeah.
That's the sound I was going for.
Yeah, definitely. I like this track.
Yeah, no, Carp was sick. We did a little bit of an echo effect again on your little bridge thing at the beginning, like
Oh,
your first
yeah.
4 bars, which is cool though. I like that.
That took me a while.
Oh, and the outro, dude. We can't forget about the outro. That was sick.
Yeah.
I like how this part or the song has like 3 different parts, kind of. And the outro, I just extended the sample more, and I found this dope part. This part I actually did on my own when Avi realized like he likes this beat so much. I was like, okay, let's try to flare it up a little bit. And I was like, all right, at the end, let's extend this and add this like crazy guitar part. Shout out to that artist. I don't know his name or how to pronounce it even. But that shit is dope. And then Avi was just like, I got something to say. Like, let me run that. I was like, okay. And then he did it first try. And I was like, yo, this shit hard.
Yeah,
and it
nigga?
it was so good. So I loved that part.
My brother got 9 nines and my other brother got 9 more. Look at his face round. He'll take your fucking face off. Pray to God that your face.
Face strong. You know?
That shit's crazy.
Yeah, no,
Crazy
that's
as hell.
so cool. That whole track is just so sick to me.
Definitely.
Anything you gotta say?
I had that idea for that part once you sent it,
Yeah.
and I was just like, oh, I was home alone too, so obviously for one I was blasting that through a little speaker, and I was already just like talking to myself because that's what I do, and I was like, hey, what you want, nigga? My brother got 9 nines and my other brother got 9. Like I just
That's
going
such,
on.
Yeah, no, I do that shit too.
Yeah.
Like, you just blast it and you just, things come to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do something like that just on that little part because that part's kind of what it sounded like it needed.
Yeah. Well, a funny thing about that part too is I was on the way home from Chicago
Oh yeah, I remember texting.
and I
you.
made it. Yeah, and then I was like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna send this to him, see if he likes it." And you're like, "Yep, that's it." And that's when you were bumping, I'm sure. So that was cool.
Yeah.
We
I
were-
thought you went on a plane for that trip.
Nah, I just send him a text of like me inside the car.
Yeah.
I was just on my computer, like, "Yep, grind mode."
I saw you in the car and I was like, oh, you're home.
That was at. I think
But
that was
you
the
were, like,
last.
halfway.
That was the last beat for Fish. I'm pretty sure that I made. So it was like me wrapping up the album, because we had all the other stuff. We just need to like record and get like our ideas out. That was fun. I love that song. Next up, This song.
Just had it up.
this song.
Muskie.
Musky.
I
Dude,
like that track.
this song is dope. Avi showed me the sample, and then he just went from there on like all of it.
Shout out Mr. Severance, wherever you are.
Oh my God! Yeah.
That's
he
who
showed
showed-
you that. That's
because
so sick.
Okay, so the
He's our media teacher.
the idea for that track is so these dudes went behind like a newscasting place and they got the tapes, like the old tapes of like the news loops or whatever, like the whatever.
Mhm.
Got those and played them over and over until they were done, and just recorded that.
So cool.
And that I think it came like right after 9/11. They posted that or whatever.
It's like depressing.
Yeah,
The music.
It's crazy.
And I was like, you said you wanted like a vibe kind of like that, and I was like, what does that mean? Like I was so confused. And then you
Yeah.
sent me the sample. I was like, bro, this shit hard.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't have to do anything. I literally just have to loop it, mess with a few things, and then you were just like, all right, let me just go.
Yeah.
It was dope. It was such a cool thing for me to experience because you did that in like 2 takes. I was like, dude, this song's like done.
That was after my New York trip.
Oh yeah.
That's where I also got the ending for it.
Oh yeah.
And then, but I don't know. I remember driving home from something, and you were like, yo, 3 songs off the album. What do you want? 3 last songs. And I think I sent the idea for Sunny.
Oh yeah.
I sent that, like, oh, I want this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And I think one of them was cat. Yeah, one of them was Catfish.
Was it? Yeah. Oh yep. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it was.
It was Catfish,
Uh-huh.
Muskie, and Sunny.
Yep.
Those were like the 3 tracks that we didn't finish at that time.
Yeah. Dude, I remember that.
And then we were thinking about the interlude at the same time.
Yeah. That was cool.
And
The ending was just super simple, and the whole song was pretty simple.
Yeah.
Like the end, you can tell about like the disco shit because that's so cool.
Yeah.
And I just heard that, and I was like, dude, let's just throw that at the end.
Yeah.
That we don't even need to do like anything.
I was in Coney Island. I miss New York so much, bro. I was in Coney Island, and there's this terrible DJ. I mean, just like boo-boo as hell. And all he did was just like turn up the track and then just mute it, like like that's how he did the effect. And I was like, oh man, I gotta record this because it was such bad quality because he was playing out his like 40s disco speakers.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, all right. And then I recorded I only got the audio for this. Sounds like he says Muskie. I just realized that.
You sent that to me out of nowhere. I was like, what are we gonna do with this?
yeah.
And then you were like, well, I was saying we do like this. I was like, oh, okay. And then when we were in person, you were like, why don't we throw this on? I was like, yep, that like wraps it up.
Yeah.
For me, because it's just cool. Like it's not even like doesn't mean like too much if anything. It just sounds so sick to me. I don't know why. Yeah.
That was so weird. It was like these, like it was like the oddballs of New York just gathered together dancing to like old disco music.
Yeah.
God, it was so weird.
Yeah. Shout out that song. That song's sick. And Avi has one of the sickest verses
I still don't know
on that verse.
Yeah.
Or on that song, whoops. Muskie's dope. I remember me and William just like chanting those lyrics. My brother kept the iron like he lifting weights. Yeah, my brother kept the rag like he
making
waves. Yep, that shit hard.
Yeah.
Checks out.
I got the ideas for that. I was at a cabin. That's when it was. I was at a cabin, and we had our phones for like, we could like just couldn't use our phones for like the whole week. We were out there, so the whole time I was just sitting on the dock thinking.
Off the dock.
The whole time I was just thinking, like, what could I think about? In that time, I thought about, like, the whole songs came to me. Like, Sunny came up, Muskie came up. I thought about Grief for a while. Shout out Earl Sweatshirt.
Yeah.
And then, no, not Sturgeon. I don't know. I just thought about those two songs for a while, and it's funny how contrasting they are.
Uh-huh.
But
I remember you texting me on the trip, like, dude, I'm so homesick, but I'm also having a lot of fun. Like, you FaceTime me, like, oh, like, this is fun, but then you were also like,
no, that was a different trick. I had a
oh, that was a different one?
yeah, that was the one.
Damn.
Bomb set. I missed out because of that trip.
Oh, that one was crazy. Yeah.
I had a breakdown in a tent at like 2 in the morning,
And he was texting me.
and I
That was
like,
crazy.
Yo, I gotta get out of here. I have to leave.
Damn. So this is a different time.
Remember Dante? Remember the dude who I saw?
Oh, he was at that camp?
Yeah, that's where I knew him from.
That's
He was
funny.
the only cool counselor.
Okay, wait. So then, what's the story behind Muskie? What was that? What camp was that?
Muskie?
Or were you just like camping?
I was in a lake.
Oh, I see.
I was floating in the lake, freezing cold. This side, beautiful afternoon sunset. The other side, storm, just bleeding. Like, it was terrible. And it was creeping super fast. And I was sitting there. And if I died, I would have been content there. It was insane.
Damn. I think, well, yeah, that's just like a cool. Well, the fact that you thought about Sunny, possibly one of the most crazy. Also, the second track and the second to last track, probably the most sad. Like, it's just so cool.
Yeah.
Like, that's a sick story. I didn't know that at all. Last song, Catfish. Damn, this song, wow. This song crazy. This song, like, legitimately, Avi, I didn't know what he wanted for it, and he was like, breakbeat. I want live drums. I was like, okay. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. And then, well, like, that's legit what you said, though. You were like,
Breakbeat, live drums.
you said that. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not
I know,
kidding.
I
And
know.
I was like, I don't know what you want me to do. So then I was like, all right, I'll just look for a sample. I found that sick sample
Okay,
that works with it pretty well, I think.
my original idea for Muskie was
Catfish or Muskie?
Catfish. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Catfish. I wanted like the drum, like an adapted version of the drum beat where it's like,
Uh-huh.
like I wanted that, just adapted. I wanted it changed so it'd like be good, and then have like not a piano, electric piano over it, and then this cool ass bass line, and then rap over that. That didn't really work out because I don't know. So we got the drums from the beginning of Indica Badu by Logic featuring Wiz Khalifa. 4 minutes and 20 seconds long. Very hilarious.
Gang. Yeah, that's what you showed me as an idea, and I was like, well, why don't we just use it and like chop it up a little? And I think it works great.
It worked very well.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, if we can't do the bass line and electric piano, how about we just throw a choir or something over it?
Yeah. You said like
Chopped
soul
up.
sample, right? I remember that. So I was like, okay.
So we looked that up.
Yeah, and I found a good one, and it works really well. And then I messed with the pitching too on like some of the sample, and I think it works well with the beat. And I remember being really proud of it. And then you were just sitting there on your phone, and you were getting stuff. I was like, this shit better be hard.
Yeah. I was freeballing half the time.
Yeah. You can talk about the recording, because the recording was sick. It was literally one take. You got the whole first take, one take, not including the second half. Yeah, you can talk about that though, because that's a sick story.
Yeah. So, second half, what are we talking about?
First half, just like
First half?
well, how you were like freestyled a little bit.
Yeah, I just kind of freestyle. I just had ideas, and I was like, oh, just gonna say 'em. I mean, I wanted the lyrics to just kind of span out throughout the song and just be a little bit more open of a track and less concealed and structured.
Yeah.
So I did that and just kept it less consistent, and just rapped when I could, or rapped when I kind of had the motion towards keeping the consistency. And then
I chopped it up into like 3 different parts once you did it. It was kind of like the intro where you like talking a little bit, and then you did like the like humming along to the sample.
oh yeah,
And then you had like the verse part, which was like hard hitting, and I tried to make that like when you came in, it was like okay, now he's coming in, like he's rapping, like that was sick to me. Those like, I don't know, it was a cool track, definitely. The first half was super sick to me.
Second half,
Crazy. I lost my mind, dude. This was not me. This is another part on the album where I did like no production.
yeah. I had this idea. I wanted to end an album off with that, just the chords and singing. And I had the singing idea a while back, and then I forgot it, and then remembered it the night of the recording. Because I was like, because Will was like, oh, what should I sing across this? And I was like, I don't know. So we did the piano in there.
Yep. At this house, that's true.
On my phone.
Yep.
Well,
And
then
you sent the piano to me like weeks before we recorded it.
yeah,
And I was like, this is cool, but like I didn't know where it would fit because we were literally coming to end on Fish, and I was like, I don't know where he would want to put this. And also I didn't have the lyrics over it, but god damn, when we hadn't even started recording, literally you were just singing the melody, and then William started doing it with lyrics, and I was like, holy shit, like no, this is so fucking good.
yeah.
Like I know, that was crazy to me.
For me, that was
Yeah,
there were so many just light bulbs and like
so much
explosions in my head,
Yeah,
just going off, like thinking, boom, it's there.
Yeah.
I like whole masterpiece just in my
Yeah.
brain, and just having that come to life and being able to do that. Like I have so many ideas, not taken to pad and paper and all that, and just done to that.
Yeah.
And just having this one in specific, something that I've been holding on to so close to me for like years now, probably.
Uh-huh.
Like the moment I learned 7 chords.
Yeah. Well, the piano's so good, and I didn't do that. Like, that was Avi
Yeah.
just being, like, fucking good at playing piano. And then
Mhm.
William just being good at singing. And it was Avi's writing, basically. We also made some of the lyrics just on the spot.
Yeah.
It was like, I feel so hard. I feel deprived. Like, oh, shit, this does sound good. But also the lyrics, dude. The if it's fine by you,
It's
we can
funny
make a whole
'cause-
life, my golden child. I was like, what the fuck, dude? This sounds so cool to me. Like, I was freaking out. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Like, I was like just watching this happen in front of me. I was like, hold on, holy shit. It was so cool.
It's like that one picture of Future, like manning the stew, and there's that one dude sitting there.
Yeah, it's true. I was just like, okay, shit. And then William recorded it, and then had to leave like 15 minutes after.
Like a couple of, I think Will's brother
15
was,
or
like,
less.
at the door.
It wasn't that close, but it was like hella close. Like, he
Yeah.
recorded and then left.
Yeah.
And me and you were just sitting there like, holy shit.
Yeah.
The camera died. We're still recording audio though.
That's cool. But
Yeah. I mean, this shit is just great. Like, William to me was the perfect voice over this. And
yeah.
it sounded great. And funny story, we liked how raw the piano was. And there's a moment where you take a step,
I just
like
mess
you
up.
you mess up, and it's right before William, I think, says cry. So then we had to like train William to like
Yeah.
stop because the piano stops.
Just be ready.
So then he stops right before and then keeps going on cry. So it sounds like William's playing the piano
I think
and singing. It's so cool, dude.
that was recorded. This whole part was recorded on iPhone.
Yeah. No, yeah.
That's
Funny thing too, like that's really it. Like, it's
Yeah.
so simple. And then also Myra's part at the very end.
yeah.
That's the only really part I did after the beginning was like she sent me 2 different takes of it, and so I just put one in each ear and then lined them up together, and it sounded sick. And then it was just like, that's what Avi wanted to end the album, like, officially after the chords, because it was so short of like a lyric in a way. So then I was just like, shit, okay, if I throw this in too, it's gonna be done. Like, that's it.
Yeah. Also the talking over it. Like, we're talking about the album
Oh my god, I forgot about that. Yeah.
at the end
Yeah.
of the album. So it was just cool having that for one, and then also like I like having that. I like noise within beautiful things. Like, I like being able to find such gentle things like chords and stuff like that in the harshest of places. Like, it just sounds really like the little cheap piano down there.
Mhm.
It's really nice just because it sounds disgusting,
Yeah.
but it just feels amazing when you're able to get that like beauty in such a rough, harsh place. But that's a little extravagant. I mean, like,
But
just,
like, dude, that's like what Fish is
yeah.
in general as a whole.
I
There's
think that's just
from
life in
going
general.
songs back to like Walleye, where it's like those piano that sounds grungy, but it sounds so slick when you put your like verse on it with the weird echo delay.
Yeah.
It sounds so much better. Like, literally, William just was like, "Oh no, yeah, I like this track now that Avi has vocals on it."
Yeah.
But then again, songs like Carp, where it's kind of that like organ beginning,
Yeah.
and then going into that crazy weird sample, like songs like that. It's what you just said, like embodies Fish as an album,
Yeah.
finding beauty in small, weird things.
I think life in general comes with that. You know, you just gotta find your beauty in your harsh environment, which may be hard, but you just gotta do it, you know what I'm saying? Because, like, yeah, that shit isn't gonna come to you if you're just, like, waiting around to get it. You gotta get yours before they get yours. You just gotta, like, be able to say fuck it and go in there in the harshest environment and try to find the most beautiful thing. Find your diamond in the rough.
That's Fish, the album. You heard.
That's Fish Podcast.
Fish Podcast signing out.